and 20 parking spots are blocked with snow. And Public Works comes at night to remove that. That's what you're talking about, what we have to pay, or the parking fund has to pay because the snow is being removed so that parking spots can be utilized.
That is correct.
Gary, I'm kind of wondering, the expenses seem to go up in FY13 and through 15 or so, and then sort of go down a little bit in all your scenarios here. Even in FY20, they seem to be a lot higher than they are in FY09. I'm just kind of, in all of the scenarios, I'm just kind of wondering why. I know that we're taking care of, maybe the maintenance programs and some of the parking lots and whatever. I'm just kind of wondering if you could explain why things are sort of going up a bit and then going back down.
Sure, I'll give you initial portions of that, and I'm sure that the finance director would be able to also give some input on that. You're talking about just the expense side of this long sheet that
Yes.
we have here.
And I understand that this is under the previous question 4. We were dealing with 5.
Right. And we'll talk about this when we talk about the other section of the other memo. But basically, a lot of these, the way these go up and down. In FY13, again, we restructured a little bit. We had added on third personnel for the downtown area. So, as much as we eliminated, we have decreased with one full-time employee. There was still a cost, and a little bit more of a cost than if we still continued on with that full-time employee. So there was a little bit of an additional cost for that. And Steve, I'm not sure if you have any other questions to that.
Yeah, to get into the weeds a little bit. So, so from 12 to 13. 13 to 14, or is that what you, or
yeah.
13, yeah. Well, we had a few things in 13. We had our admin fee. You want to get rid of the weed?
No, if you could just summarize.
Well, in 12 we had a couple things. Our admin fee to the parking fund is slowly going up because we're spending more money in the parking fund because we're doing more. Because we didn't do we didn't do a lot with our maintenance and those types of things for a long time. So
we're catching up.
We're catching up, and what happens with the admin fee is it's driven by the total expenditures in each fund relative to other funds. So so that the part of that's there. From 12 to 13, we had some changes in insurance. We had in our regular downtown maintenance. I can't speak to this in particular, but we're looking at actuals when we're looking at 12 and 13. They completed a couple of big projects in with parking lot maintenance, and also I think we had a bigger winter there, so because our personnel costs were up, so we were doing more snow plowing in the downtown region, and that's what happens is when people are plowing downtown or doing specific work downtown, they're charged to this cost center. So there some increased activity there. And here was I said they finished a couple big projects. So one was here in the general downtown, and they had a big maintenance project over at Wells Street that year. And so their expenses were up a little bit that year. So that's from 12 to 13. Then in going from 13 to 14, that is the year. That's when some of our reorganization took effect, and we replaced a full-time position with 2 part-time positions. And I think the idea was that there would not be much extra personnel cost. But at that same time, we had some changes in the retirement system. Some pretty big changes. Our police retirement went up about 27%. and our other retirement went up 22%, so we didn't see the savings in retirement that we thought we would. Instead, we kind of broke even in retirement. We also had some changes in family circumstances with some of our full-time employees. They had some changed health insurance enrollment. So we added more coverage thinking we'd save money, and then other circumstances came along and bumped our costs up a little bit higher than we thought. So when you're looking at those changes in from 13 to 14, much of that is centered around that. That's really getting into the weeds, I know.
Gary, you and I asked you a question regarding how does the police department interplay with the parking division? Who's paying supervision or what have you? Can you clarify that?
Absolutely. As you're aware, with when I was hired as project manager, and we went through this process of moving the parking division to City Hall, we worked with the police department. We still work very closely with the police department on many of the responsibilities that we still do. But right now, the parking division is reporting to me, and it used to have a supervisor that was a police supervisor that actually monitored the operations division down at the police department. So that position, as we've gone through this year's budget, which you'll see in the current budget that's being proposed for FY15, the position of supervision in the police department has been eliminated from that position, from the budget. However, there is a new administrative fee for the police department, and I'll kind of break that down a little bit for you. Basically, we are still going to have a very strong relationship with the police department because of what we do. One is that we still currently use dispatch center. We still use their tow logs. They take care of hiring our tows for us. They buy us our radios. The radios are still currently through the police department so that they interface with theirs. They still issue night tickets for us, violations in the evening for parking and those types of things. And those administrative costs that we're going to still continue to have to use them in this relationship. So that's what we have done, is we've eliminated the position of supervision, replaced a portion of that with me, and then come up with what the allocated cost would be for us to be able to continue to work with the police department to pay for our portion.
So some of the reduced costs from the police department change helps to cover.
Yeah, it decreases the actual budget, personnel budget in FY15, but that includes having my position in here also.
Okay. What? Any public questions? Yes, council questions?
Yeah, Chad, Ward 2, City Council. If you answered this, forgive me, I may not have heard you back there, but are there plans to fill the position of the person that we lost in the parking?
That's part of the process that we're working through. We've had some discussion with that. The reason it wasn't filled is because with me coming on board, we wanted to reevaluate the entire division. So we're working through that process now. We believe that position would be advantageous to us, but we have to have that business case to make sure that the way we set that up, that it's the right way to do it, seeing we have the opportunity.
And how many vehicles are assigned to the parking division?
There are currently 2 small vans. They're called Ford Transits, and you've probably seen them. They're a small utility type van.
Okay, I was thinking we had 3. And then I don't know if this is sort of an overlap, excuse me, but when you came up with the proposal for the times, changing the times downtown, why was like 9 chosen as opposed to 8 as opposed to 7?
Well,
No, you're on the revenue side of things, but
I can answer it now. We won't have to answer it
I
later.
know, it's an overlap.
Basically, what we did is we did a survey of all the downtown businesses, when they opened, when they closed. We went from Monday through Saturday. Some businesses are open on Sunday. Of course, we don't operate on Sunday. But we actually went down and looked because it's been years. If you recall, years ago downtown, the stores opened up for a certain time and they stayed open later. They were open earlier and open later in the evening.
as many of the businesses that I've spoken with said that the reason that they're opening later in the morning now was because they're not getting the traffic that they used to get, and it's not worthwhile for them to open up earlier.